Evolution.org, episode 654 is coming your way. Today we have a special interview with EVO's sister, Iron Rose1. So you can come on the forum in the top right under the search bar, click that, and then put member. Her name is IRON underscore ROSE1, the number one. And you can look at her posts and you can look at her log. She's a very, very bright person, and she's done a lot of experimenting with her body over the years. This is a great episode for women. So if you have a wife, girlfriend, sister, niece, mother, whatever, this is a great episode for them because she's going to really lay out a lot of the things she's learned over the years. So it's going to be a really, really important podcast. First, to remind everyone, we are on Apple, we are on Spotify. Go ahead and smash the like button if you enjoy our content. Leave some comments, subscribe, help us out. It's going to help the algorithms pick us for podcasts. So, Iron Rose, thank you for coming on this evening. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me.
Mobster?
As we've done on
And
previous shows, Iron Rose, and especially in lieu of the time of night where you are, we make a particular point at the beginning of these shows on behalf of the listeners, if nothing else, just to let people understand that you've taken time out of your day to come on. Because Iron Rose is based over in Australia, it's 10 o'clock or more, 11 o'clock at night. So again, it's late. I would be in bed already. So we want to make sure that we show our appreciation on behalf of myself, Stevesmi, the community on Evolutionary, the listeners and the bosses of the forum. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day, the end of your day, to come onto the show and help us out by taking part.
no, I'm really pleased that I can be here and I can help you guys. So how can I start? I probably start with my medical background because that's where I actually put on a lot of weight.
Sure. Do you want to start with your history first? Tell us a little bit about your childhood. Did you play sports when you were in school? Were you an active kid? You want to start with that?
Yeah, sure. So I was pretty much always a nerd. I would go out with my friends, like just playing, like playground and stuff. But I was not really into any kind of like sports. My focus was mainly on books and studying. So not really into sports or any physical activities. I pretty much led a sedentary lifestyle because I know when you're growing up and if you have been training, the way your cells and your nuclei develop in your muscle cell, they can serve you long term. You have developed that endurance when you grow up. So I did not have that kind of advantage with me.
You didn't build that muscle memory and stuff like that.
No,
Okay.
no, nothing.
Did you watch sports on TV? Were you watching bodybuilding? Did you follow bodybuilding, weight training, or anything like that? Or were you just
I
like,
did. I did like yes. So I used to watch like WWE. I remember Dave Batista, he used to be my favorite. But my dad, he used to be a bodybuilder, but I think my more interest has always been into learning and reading that time. So, but I always been interested in that, but I was always like a skinny child. I had those, I think, genetics that I do not put on fat easy. And when you're young anyways, especially women, we don't put on weight really easy. So my diet when I was growing up, I always will have like home cooked meal. We'll never have ever any like takeaways. My mom will always cook like nutrition and protein kind of meals. So I think I remained fit my pretty much my whole life till I had this medical episode with my like prednisone and all that kind of exposure. Before that, I never had to worry about any weight gain per se.
so what happened? How old were you when these medical problems started, and what were some of the red flags and symptoms? And were you able to diagnose them quickly, or did it take time for the doctors to figure out what was wrong?
Doctors still they couldn't figure out what's wrong. So I was about 29 or 30 years old. So it actually all happened in like 2020, just after that magical vaccination and a lot of weird things were happening around the world. So I had and it could be just purely coincidental, but I had my third booster dose of vaccination, and my whole body had like delayed reaction. I had first symptoms of like eruptions, and I was itchy everywhere. And then my whole body turned into like red wine, brandy wine kind of color. And I was itchy everywhere, so I had to go and see a specialist for that. They have put me on that time 25 mg of prednisone, and it subsided after like a week. No problem with that. But 3 months later, I was having like really, really painful eyes. So I went to just optometrist that was across from where I was working. So I went to work. I thought maybe I've got hair, something in my eyes, and I can't get it out. I can't see it. So I went to optometrist across from where I work. And after examination, he said, "This is beyond my scope of what I can do, and if it was me, I would highly suggest you need to go to an emergency department straight away to an eye hospital or somewhere." And when I went there, doctor saw, long story short, they first put me on non-systemic steroids. It didn't work. Then they put me on 25 mg of prednisone, and they said it's idiopathic. Whenever they can't diagnose what's happening, they said it's idiopathic. So they put me on undiagnosed uveitis, which is behind of your eyeball that was getting inflamed. And with even 25 mg, it wasn't settling down. And I always knew what are the side effects because I studied all these in my textbook. So I was trying to I was against it, but they said you have two options because my swelling was so much that both of my retinas, they were about to detach. So I would have gone blind if I don't go on that 80 mg of prednisone. So our listeners, just to give them a reference, what 80 mg of prednisone was, and that time I used to weigh 51 kilos. So on a general male population, the studies are done. If a 70 kilos male, if it's given 15 mg, which is 15 mg of prednisone for about 3 weeks, that will completely shut down their natural prednisone or like those hormones in their body. And I was 51 kilos and I was given 80 mg prednisone. And during that time, I put on so much weight because I was literally craving sugar like a junkie would. I would literally search for sugar. And if I have no sugar food, I will put just sugar in my mouth. And I was on prednisone for almost 1 year because as soon as I try to taper it down, it will flare up again.
Wow.
Just to interrupt for a second, and Steve and I spoke about this in the pre-show a little bit with yourself, but with each other before you came on. We've seen multiple, and you just mentioned the milligram dosage for the average male. I've seen over the years that we've been doing these shows and on forums, this particular medication comes up for treating certain medical conditions. And even, not with my personal experience, but a buddy of mine on multiple cortical and catabolic steroids for treating a particular medical condition. And you will see, as in his example, his belly swelling up. The steroids come with side effects of their own, even though because they're incredibly potent for treating very harsh medical conditions. And in your example, which is the obvious one that we're discussing today, you said about, and again, it's the reason why we're discussing it as we are now, is because I've seen it before, gaining 15 kilograms or 33 pounds for our American listeners, as a result of being treated for a medical condition with a very potent, but equally and it's effective, but also multiple side effects across many users, just in the bodybuilding and steroid profile. And the kind of people that listen to this show, if you have these medical conditions, one as an example, Steve, was that my buddy was also on anabolic steroids and arguably was actually doing quite well with self-medicating anabolic steroids because he was doing that, to the point where his consultant actually asked for his diary and was going over because he should have been losing weight, he should have been losing muscle tissue. So yeah, it's important. In your case, as you say, you mentioned insulin sensitivity in your notes that you're using from your log. the way that it affected your body, the way that it affected your insulin sensitivity, and a massive amount, 33 pounds, when you only weighed 51, which was about 112, 113 pounds to begin with. That's like a third of her body weight, Steve. Very, very close to about a third of her body weight added as a result of using specific medications. Yeah, sorry, carry on, Iron Rose. Thank you.
Thank you. So the problem with this bad or shitty steroids, I'll say not the good ones, these like prednisone, it not only like leads the muscle loss, and women, we have the tendency to lose muscles anyways because we don't have testosterone, and it's depositing belly fat, and then it's also diminishing our collagen production. So it wrecked completely chaos in my body at that time. And to top it off, because I was on such a high dosage, it also wrecks your sleep as well. So to give you the idea how bad it was, in 3 or 4 nights, I was totally sleeping for only 2 hours. So sleep alone, even in a normal condition, when you're not eating all that rubbish, if you're not sleeping properly, you will put on weight because it's shooting up your cortisol. It's not only shooting up my cortisol, but it's not letting me sleep as well. And I hope no one goes through this, but it was also affecting my mental health as well that time. And doctors did warn me in very subtle way. They told me that, hey, if you ever think about doing something to yourself that will harm you, don't take any steps. There's help available. And I was like, why would I do that? And then one day, and that's why I always say, so in my whole journey, your awareness with your body and with your thought process is one biggest thing that you can do for yourself. So I remember I was sitting like higher up, and that time I used to live on 22 floor, like story higher up. And I'm just looking down, and I'm having those thoughts that I don't want to say that can upset few people. I had those kind of thoughts. And I was like, in that moment, I realized I was like, that's not me. Why would I want to do that to myself? That's all the medications. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to take control to my in my hands, because I know how the medical industry, we just follow the guidelines that has been given to us by
Yes.
therapeutic guidelines.
They're treating a medical condition, but they're not treating the side effects that come with the medication they're giving for that medical condition. And sometimes, and you have this great advantage because of your background, because of your studies. We literally had a post on the forum the other day where a father or parent of this medical condition has been given a typical treatment, and the person, the member, posted about how they'd looked at peptides that might treat the medical condition, gone and got these peptides for their parent, given the peptides for their parent, and they more or less made, if not a full recovery, very close to that. Your advantage, you're quite correct, of educating yourself with what's going on in your body, looking at maybe mitigating the side effects for yourself, is probably what stops you arguably maybe doing yourself some damage, especially in that situation. So the understanding that you had is very important. Yeah.
So how have you managed this autoimmune mystery illness today? I'm assuming you're not taking any of these catabolic steroids, which is what prednisone is, a catabolic steroid. I'm assuming you're not taking any of these catabolic steroids anymore, correct? Or are you still having to take them?
No, I don't have to. I've completely eliminated all of them. So I have tried everything under the sun. I have tried kinesiology. I have tried, people say you have to do grounding, you have to walk bare feet to get rid of inflammation. I have tried different like vitamin D. There's a herb called cat's claw. There's called devil's claw. I will write all that in my log as well if anyone is interested in that your kindness. But at the end of the day, I realized, so once it started tapering down a little bit, like I'm not inflamed per se, that's when I started taking thymosin alpha, because you can't take thymosin alpha when you actually inflamed. It's like you not start digging water resources when your house is on fire. You have to do it when things are a bit calm. So that's when I started taking KPV, thymosin alpha, along with grounding things, keeping myself calm, because I know your body is under inflammation is because you are really stressed. And that's why if you read one of my logs, I say, for me, my mental well-being and not feeling stressed is the most important thing. And I will touch on it, what I have learned with the whole thing. Cortisol for women, it affects us way more than how it affects male in every way possible. And that's why if you see in general population, women are more anxious because it affects us because how when it's combined with estrogen and progesterone, it affects us way more than how it will affect a male. So I also started
Sorry,
taking.
just to interrupt here, something that Steve and I have covered on a few shows, and I even mentioned it just this week, Steve. Men and women, men don't seem to understand this. We have this idea sometimes as men, how women are hormonal. No. Both sexes are hormonal. We're affected by estrogen and testosterone ratios all the time. If we're stressed, that could be hormonal, or we can then affect our hormones by being stressed. And as you're saying right now, when you say grounding, that's as much mental and stress related as it is physical grounding, which I've read about recently. So the whole process of what you're talking about is helping you control how you feel, which is helping you control some of those hormonal imbalances. Is that what I'm thinking?
Yes, it's everything possible. And for me, I was in such a state that I didn't want to be testing out one by one. I was testing out everything that I can think is going to help my body. So I was taking different antioxidant. I was taking also, that was the time when I was taking glutathione because it's one of the good detoxification as well as antioxidant for your body. And also it's actually, I think it has helped me. I've taken IV glutathione to bring down the inflammation. But also having my stress level down, but not only by grounding, physically grounding, walking bare feet on grass or on sand on our beaches here. Really blessed to have nice beaches around. But also like doing mindful meditation. And it might sound a little bit hippie, but also thanking to your body to do the things that the gratefulness. When someone does something nice to you, you always say thanks. Our body is day in and day out is saying like doing nice things to you, but how many times do you actually say thank you or you show some gratitude? So I started saying those mindful meditation before I'm like going to bed, saying thank you to every part, every organ. And believe it or not, it actually did help. It helped me calm down. And that time I was having this gratitude journal as well that I would write 3 things that I'm grateful for. And I would write as simple as like, I've got roof over my head, I've got a family, I've
Yep.
got just simple things. And it actually did help. But once everything is down, I have decreased some of my supplementations. And then I still continue every now and then like KPV and thymosin alpha and those kind of things. But slowly and surely, once my stress level has come down, my need for taking systemic steroid that also came down. Funny enough, the other day when I was at the specialist, because they originally, after 1 year of being on systemic steroids, they have decided to put me on immunosuppressant. And I absolutely do not want to be an immunosuppressant. That's pretty much
No.
like end of my career because I deal with.
Can I ask you a question in that regards? Something that people sometimes struggle with. And again, I think your knowledge is useful here. Consultants and certain surgeons, for example, can sometimes feel like their knowledge is so powerful, so high, so specific. There's an analogy that says doctors can sometimes feel like they're gods, and the ability for yourself to go in there with an education and experience and ability to express the way that you've just expressed yourself with us. Sometimes the doctor won't tell you why they're doing what they're doing. You're just supposed to trust their judgment. But you being able to question the judgment, even if it's only to agree, because they've come at it from a different angle, or at least say, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Are we treating that? Do you get those kind of conversations, relationship perhaps with the doctors? Like you've just said, the idea that they were going to put you on something else.
No, they do because they know I'm come from the similar background and I know about that. So they are quite open and I say that I want to try this or I want to try that. And they say, okay. if you want to try this, let's do that. So I'm really blessed in that way that they do not just impose their views on me, or maybe this is how healthcare system is in Australia, that they are quite open to talk to you. They do not, at least with me, they do not have that God complex.
Yeah.
But they always discuss, and that's what I'm saying. When I went to the specialist, they actually asked me, "What are you doing? How are you fixing yourself?"
Yes.
They
Yes.
actually asked me, and I said, I have done this, this, and this, because once you go to that level of prednisone, that they are actually going to prescribe you immunosuppressant to coming to that point that you don't need anything, that was quite surprising for them as well.
Yes.
Uh, the thing is, in medical world, and I do not consider myself as one of them typical in from that, because I see things for what they are. They will think it as a hippie practice to do, that I'm thanking myself and thanking my body and I'm having gratitude, like attitude of gratitude. But they probably would not agree with me. But for me, what works, works. So I'm open
Yes.
to
Yeah.
try everything.
I think it's there's a movie that came out or in a book called The Secret. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And
Yes, I
It
have.
rings a bell,
Yes.
Steve, but I don't know that I've seen it.
yeah, so it basically teaches you exactly that. And it's just like the most successful people, the healthiest, the people who get what they want in life are the people who do exactly what you're saying. They give gratitude, they have a positive environment, they surround themselves with positive people. They don't sit
Yeah.
there on Facebook all day. And and I were talking about it on the pre-show.
Joking. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
sit there on
Yeah.
Facebook all day arguing with people and reading all the negative crap or watching the news or all that stuff. So it
Yes.
does definitely make a difference because the earth is a magnetic force. So you can attract negative shit in your life or you can attract positive stuff in your life. So that's what we try to
And
do
even if
on
I
Evo.
even if I disagreed with Iron Rose about certain aspects, the reality of the situation is that she's quite clearly said, got a roof over her head, she's recovering her health, she's taken control of her body shape as it was to what it is now. She's putting out positive vibes and information into the thing. But you go, so my life could be considered difficult, but is it really? And
Yeah.
if
Glass
being
half
positive,
full versus glass half
yeah,
empty. But I want to ask you,
yeah, and
Iron Rose.
the hormonal things is helping
Yeah.
her recover,
So
perhaps
let me
after.
ask you,
Yeah.
Iron Rose, today, what do you have to deal with that makes life tough on you in terms of your health? Like, like what specifically does this condition do for you? Is it still affecting your sleep here and there? Is it affect the way you can exercise? You talked about you have to walk on, a soft surface. Tell us today what exactly do you notice on a day-to-day basis?
Um, Now it's pretty much, I'll say it's non-existent. It only comes into the existence if I'm extremely stressed.
Okay.
But how it actually, it's not the condition that has done that to me. I think it's the medication that has caused more damage because it led to lots of like muscle wastage. Because when I was suffering through it, I actually could not even work out because while I was having that, and even if I go for exercise, because of course I was putting weight on, and if I try to exercise, it will shoot up my blood pressure and it will make my condition worse. So like I would be in constant pain in my eyes and headache and everything. So I could not work out that time. So I had a lot of muscle wastage and loss of muscle loss. So now if I'm trying to lift weight, I'm literally starting from when I started to do like dumbbell press, I could
Mm.
only do from, believe it or not, just like 3 kilos of dumbbell press. That's all I can do. That's all my muscles because I had no muscles left. So I had to
Wow.
start from pretty much like from nothing. I could not even do like free body kind of squats. I could not do leg
Yeah.
press more than
So
like
you're
10
super
kilos.
weak. Yeah.
I was extremely, so that's what it did in 1 year time. It completely wasted my, and then it's not all fault on the medication. It's
Mm.
fault on me as well because the diet that I have followed, that I was saying, everything fits women. All these
Yeah.
diets that you're seeing, keto and
I'm gonna
carnivore.
ask you about that. You said in your log, and I'll read this out. I've got this quoted on the screen in front of me. Because
Mhm.
obviously the 15-kilo gain, and because Iron Rose wanted to get back into shape, this is what she said. I've experimented with multiple approaches: keto, which will discuss, carnivore, and even the 1 meal a day, the OMAD. And one of the comments you made at the time is you think the whole medication and the medical condition, etc., plus obviously muscle loss, fat gain, and so on and so forth, and the hormonal stuff that we touched upon briefly, you think your insulin sensitivity was all over the place. It had basically sort of gone back to zero. So discuss the fact that you tried different approaches and then talk about the approach that appears to be working now. So start with the keto. Why was that not sustainable long term? Why was that a problem? These
So
are the
I'll
different things
start
you
with
tried.
what I actually started with. I actually started with carnivore diet because I've heard carnivore diet is good for bringing everything back to like zero inflammation and stuff like that. I continued carnivore diet for about 3 months, hated my life because all I was having was steak, butter, salt. And when I'm going to a restaurant with my friends, everyone's like looking at me like a weirdo. All she's ordering is medium rare steak with butter, no sides, nothing. So, and I absolutely dislike, like, why am I just living on just a steak? And I love food. Clearly, I love food. So that's why carnivore didn't work. Then I went on keto because you see Dr. Berg. I don't remember because I used to watch those videos long, long time ago. But you see all those keto videos that keto is amazing and stuff like that. So fine. I was like, I'll give a go to keto diet. Again, it's not sustainable long term because there are days I'm busy, there are days that I can't do my meal prep, and I have two options. I'm either starving myself or I am breaking my keto. And even if I'm having those electrolyte balance and everything, if I'm out of keto, I'm out of keto. So that was again non-sustainable for me for social and personal aspect as well. Then I went to OMAD. And OMAD worked well for me. So from 67 kilos, I have come down to 53 kilos on OMAD, but that will backfire on me, and I'm going to tell you. So once I got 53 kilos, I just wanted to get to my 51 kilos that I was before medications. But OMAD, I got that, I hit the plateau. I wasn't losing any weight. And I was like, okay, how about if I do keto combined with OMAD kind of approach? So I will have one meal, but it will have like no carbs. And that got me down to few kilo, like maybe 1 kilo down, like 53 kilos. And then I stalled again. So I was like, okay. And I got down to those calories. Like I got down to from 1500 to 1300 to, I got to like even 1,000 calories a day, which is nothing. All that backfired on me because even if I was having just one meal, no carbs, nothing, I started putting on weight again. I got to 55 kilos again. And that was the moment for me. I was like, okay, wait, what's happening? I had to sit down. Sometimes you have all the answers in front of your hand, like in your eyes, but you have to sit down and you have to calculate and recalibrate yourself that where did I go wrong? So what people call, I have caused myself metabolic damage. Because if you see all these diets that I have done, they all have one thing in common, low carbs. So I don't have muscles to start with. And then I'm not giving myself body any carbs either. So I'm not giving any glycogen replenishing or no storage for glycogen either. I started working out, but still I was putting on weight because I have no energy to lift. So what happens with us? Uh, Males also get affected like this, but what happens with women when we are like exercising like too much, when we are having restrictive diet, and we are not giving what we need, then it again bumps up our cortisol, and cortisol
Yes.
makes you hold on to that fat with its dear life. It's like I have seen enough poverty in my life that the moment I'm going to get money, I'm going to be really holding on to that money. Versus if I see money comes in and money goes out, I'll be more open to spending that money. So body just holds on to the fat, and I've realized it later. So what I did and what's been working for me is just understanding this fact that men and women, we are not the same. Calories in and calories out, it's not the same. Body is pretty smart. You give it less calories, it will adapt to even less calories, and it will hold on even harder to fat.
That is
I think
So
correct.
what I have,
there's an argument to be made here. First off, you've had this severe medical condition, which is going to affect how your body responds. Secondly, they've then given you very powerful medications, which is affecting how your body responds. Thirdly, which I think Iron Rose is demonstrating, her knowledge of what works for her is super, super important here. And then obviously, as we've said, and we agreed earlier on, the hormonal way that we sometimes, I think you even used the phrase about being grateful for how your body's responded and expressing gratitude. There's an argument to be made, Steve and Iron Rose, where sometimes we treat our body almost like a junk car that we don't care about. And
Yeah.
only
So
when we fuck it up and it stops working do we suddenly realize we should have been taking good care of it. And that sounds to me like what you're doing. You're making sure that you know what works, what doesn't work. You understanding how your body works. You understand that you still might have some residual effects from the medical issues. And all of these things are trying now, what you're trying to do is bring everything back into balance. And as I said at the beginning of the show, guys, for listeners, Iron Rose is making progress. She literally, just in the first week, Steve, of the log, you saw a transformation. And from the top of page 1 to the bottom of page 1, you saw differences starting to occur straight away. Talk a little bit about that, Iron Rose, because you are learning. What have you learned about your body, yourself specifically, and what are you seeing changes in the gym and how that seems to be helping a little bit, even with your diet, etc.?
thank you. So the first change that I've made in my diet is incorporating carbs. And not only incorporating carbs, I'm incorporating carbs, and I was doing it unknowingly because what Retitude Tide did for me, and it was the biggest thing. So it not only uh, made my food noises go away, but it also made me become more in tune with my body. So I know if I'm craving carbs, is it actually my body is needing carbs, or am I being just a piggy who just want to munch on some carbs? So that food noise is gone, and I've become more in tune with my body, and I was started doing it unknowingly. And then when I saw my results, I was like, that makes sense. And this is what I will literally say to all of my EVO family and sisters. If you learn this and if you understand this, weight loss, someone who's a newbie like me, I know there's so many seasoned people out there, but if you're a newbie like me who's got no muscles, nothing, that is going to help you. What I've learned is free hormones, if you master them, you master fat loss as a woman. So if we look at, I'm just quickly going to touch on the menstrual cycle and phases. Is that okay?
yes, please go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So suppose our menstrual phase is about 30 days long. So for the first 15 days, we are high in estrogen. And then rest of the 15 days, we are high in progesterone. And in between, we always have some level of cortisol happening in our body. So estrogen, when it is in our body, that's when we put on muscles. Our insulin sensitivity is high. Our cells are more cortisol sensitive. What cortisol sensitive cell means is even if I have little amount of cortisol in my body, it is still effective. So my body does not need to flood my body with more and more cortisol and hence holding on to fat. So if this time, because my cells are more receptive or more open to receive carbs and it will go to my muscles, I can have good amount of carbs. I can lift weights heavy, and I can put on muscles. And then slowly your progesterone phase comes in, and progesterone directly competes with cortisol. And because there's competition, your body, which is your pituitary hormone, it releases more cortisol. Because during progesterone, your body is preparing for possible pregnancy. That's why it increases your body basal metabolic rate. And it's not all bad, because if we know what we're doing and if we support it, we can use this progesterone phase for our fat loss. So
let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. And again, this is more you as a woman and understanding the menstrual cycle. I've actually had this conversation with a PT, and the argument was that I think it was also applying to advanced physique level, IFBB level female competitors. Men are pretty much kind of, for argument's sake, fairly level through the month, although we will have ups and downs, of course. With the woman's menstrual cycle, there's an argument to be made, as you've just done, that you can adapt to and take advantage of the highs and lows of different hormones, but you cannot have a sort of level consistency that a man might have in terms of his training approach or cyclical training approach. You're taking an approach that is cyclical over a 4 to 5 week period, whereas a man might take that approach over many, many months. So it's a slightly different approach, and it's something that women listening to this show right now could take advantage of, the way that you've explained it especially.
Thank you. So for me, I'll say we are doing carb cycling on monthly basis rather than weekly basis like how guys do it. And we are also doing like bulking and shedding how men do in weekly basis versus on periods basis, because your estrogen phase, which is first 15 or whatever your before your ovulation phase is, that's when you are, that's your muscle building phase, and your progesterone is like fat losing phase, which is amazing because I don't know any woman who wants to, because majority of the time they were like, I don't want to look bulky. Bulking phase, I don't think anyone enjoys it. But for us, it's an advantage that we're never going to look bulky, but we're building on muscles. And the more muscles we build, more our like metabolic rate is going to increase. So it's again seeing glass half full, that kind of attitude if we have.
Let me ask you another question. Do you think, and I think that the answer is going to be yes, but do you think, as someone who works out as a woman versus women who do not train or work out, the hormonal effect of training is also boosting your results? Vis-a-vis, a woman who doesn't train will have the same hormonal ups and downs that we've discussed and won't be getting anything out of it by virtue of you going to the gym, by virtue of you taking control of your diet, and your awareness arguably gives you even more of an advantage over the average woman just trying to fix a diet or getting her daily steps in. Do you think there's a truth to that as well, perhaps, with the weightlifting and the weight training?
There is, but there is a little bit of awareness, like that word, you have used it beautifully. You have to be aware that some women, the problem is they are pushing their body. They're like, you are lazy if you're not pushing. I was doing that when I was not losing weight. I was doing the same thing as well. If I'm not pushing myself hard enough, it means I'm not working hard enough. The problem is, if in your progesterone phase or in your luteal phase, if you push yourself too hard, you're actually spiking your cortisol. And instead of losing weight, you're going to hold on to, and you're also going to lose your menstruation regularity as well. So as a woman, you have to know when to push, and you need to know when to have a bit more relaxed state. You can't keep pushing all the time.
In training, and I'm thinking as a coach or a PT, we have what's called macro cycling and micro cycling. You could actually argue, the way that you've discussed it, that you could have week 1, I'm going to do this. Week 2, the numbers are going to start to drop off, but I still have an advantage. Week 3, I must train this way or diet this way. Week 4, I must train this way and diet this way. And logging, as Iron Rose does, and understanding, as Iron Rose does, would then enable the female listener, the female trainer that's listening to this show, to take full advantage in the best and most positive possible way of exactly what's going on. You touched upon something just then, which is if female athletes push really hard, it will fuck up their menstrual cycle. We know if they get super lean, or they push the anabolics too much, or literally if they just overtrain. We see this in soldiers, we see this in female triathlon athletes and so on and so forth. So again, this understanding of what's going on in your body is super, super important. I love the fact that you're able to put this information out there, Iron Rose. And again, your understanding of yourself, your background, your education, all of these things. I think this message today, Steve, is super important for female listeners. If they take nothing else away, taking advantage of what's going on is super important.
Go ahead, Iron Rose.
So I'll say the biggest thing I'll say, there are women out there who don't know when their cycles, they have like irregular cycles. Just look at your diet. Are you actually training so hard? Are you cutting your carbs to that level that your body is under stress? Are you cutting your calories to that level that your body is under stress? And once all those things come in, like for me, my biggest problem was I was seeing carbs as my enemy. but I was like literally way under carbs than how I should be. Now, depending on my phase, if I'm on my estrogen phase, then I will be having about 40 to 50% of my calories come from carbs. I still try to maintain that 1 to 2 grams of carbs per body weight. So I'm not having muscle wastage, but I'm not seeing carbs as my enemy when I'm in my luteal phase. Because what happens in my luteal phase, and I'm pretty sure majority of women will agree with me, we are naturally bloated. And when we are naturally bloated, it's like, oh, carbs make me feel a lot more bloated. Yes, your insulin sensitivity has gone down now. So your body is not taking up that much carbs, but you still need carbs for hormones to function properly. But that's where I'll say Reta works beautifully. And that's why I think I have seen results, even if I'm doing the 2 mg Reta per week. But that insulin sensitivity, which was gone down during
Yeah.
my luteal phase, it has made my insulin sensitivity higher up again. But I'm still keeping in my mind that if I'm not able to push hard in the gym, I don't take it to my heart that, oh, I'm weak, why I'm not training. That's okay to take rest because my body might not recover as a male who is having high testosterone naturally, artificially, it doesn't matter. My recovery time is different than your recovery time, and you have to respect your body. That's all it is, I think.
Let me ask you the question because you just mentioned it. You mentioned in the log taking retatrutide. We know that this is becoming incredibly popular
Yeah.
for two reasons. One is, of course, the fat loss, especially with the male and for some female athletes, and also, and again, we're going back to this insulin sensitivity. So, give us an idea of when you brought this in, what it was like to begin with, any side effects, and the positives and negatives of your using it, and even if you've tweaked the dosage as well.
Um, I was feeling less hungry, but I got used to of having see, I'm someone who is used to of starving whole day because I did OMAD. And I'm used to of having someone with no carbs, nothing. So for me, the biggest thing was occasionally I was having like sleep disturbance. I couldn't sleep properly. That was one of the things that I've seen. But then I fixed it by taking tryptophan, which is an amino acid. I do not like to give myself like any preformed kind of thing that will make my body more lazy. So if I'm taking tryptophan, it
Yep.
will naturally secrete hormones in my body that will make my sleep better. So I have taken that and I fixed myself. And again, I would do sleep meditation and also magnesium. Initially, I also have seen that I was feeling a little bit of constipation when I started taking retatrutide
Mm.
because my gut motility, the way it's emptying, it slowed down. And I was
Yes.
also seeing that I was getting a lot of burp of the food that I've had few hours before, which is a good thing. If I don't like food in a particular way that I want to be tasting it afterwards as well, I would not just eat it. So when I just started retatrutide, I wasn't that aware, but I think the instant changes that you're seeing me within the first week or first two
Well, yeah.
weeks
Yeah. Yeah.
is because I think I got more in control of my cortisol. And that's where the immediate shift that you've seen that my body was not holding on to that because as soon as I started retatrutide, I was able to say, okay, do I want carbs or do I just crave it just because I'm sitting there? So that once that
Let me
noise is
just
gone.
sorry. Let me just tell the listeners. So this is an example, and I've got this from Iron Rose's log. She started. This is again from your log. Started today, the 1st of January, with the 2.5 milligrams weekly, and I made these notes looking at your log, especially
Mhm,
page one.
mhm.
Belly fat plus a little bit of hip, zero calf shape, no tattoos. This is just my own observation. 9 days later, 9th of the 1st, 26, belly shrinking. We have guys, members of the forum, post, and I say, try to do once a month, guys. One picture at the beginning of the month, one picture at the end of the month, to be able to see a change in as little as 9 days, Steve, an obvious change, not pose change, not sunlight, not tan, not different clothing, an obvious change in 9 days is amazing. It's like the sort of transformation adverts we used to have in the bodybuilding magazines. And it's literally what you've just, by making this one change, seen a difference in 9 fucking days.
It's like that's what I was saying, that cortisol is like, once you understand that, and I'm gonna go back to studies because I might be a little bit blessed that way. When I was, based on what I've heard from my mom, so they have seen that when we're in embryo, so as a child, my cells are naturally very sensitive to cortisol. Because my mom, when I was in the when I wasn't even born, my mom was under a lot of stress. So she was getting flooded with cortisol. Now, studies have shown that embryos have different effect, male or female, they have different effect, how it is affecting your whole development. For example, male embryos, they get terminated, they have like miscarriage if they are exposed to high level of cortisol when they are in the womb. Versus females, they develop that cortisol sensitivity in their cell. What it means for us is, yes, we are exposed to that, and when we are born, we have got already high exposure. So sorry, we already cells have been exposed to it. So it's called cortisol sensitivity. So even in low level of cortisol, my body can function well as long as I can control my carbs, my sleep, and everything. I will see the cortisol drop and fat drop in really quick time. Again, see it as a blessing. Yes, my mom was stressed, but I'm trying to see again silver lining in that. That actually worked in my favor. Although I don't have that athletic childhood or background, but that high cortisol exposed to my mother, now it is actually helping me, I believe, because my cells are sensitive to cortisol drop.
There's even an argument to be made because it's a perfectly normal chemicals and hormones in our body for our body to respond in certain situations in certain ways. For example, the physical stress upon on your mother giving birth in a natural way, not by cesarean, for example, releasing certain hormones into her body, which enables her to give birth. Equally, the stress upon you coming out from the womb into the real world and taking your first breath. These are all normal, natural functions. But understanding the effects of or the useful aspects of certain stress hormones, understanding how our body responds, how even, for example, as a woman, understanding that being stressed might make you want to eat more food, and so on and so forth. So go on. Go now, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you, Iron Rose. What's fascinating, I don't know if you follow the blue zones, if you've read about that.
I'm not sure what blue zones are.
So the blue zones around the world are the areas, there's 6 or 7 of them where people are living over 100 years and they don't have like, the cancers and the diabetes and these sicknesses that we, find in other parts of the world. And there's always, common denominators. And one of them is they have very high carb diets, which goes against conventional wisdom, and it's something that you've figured out. And a lot of that's just something I wanted to kind of like throw out there and get your thoughts on. And then number two, when you talk about carbs, for a lot of the people out there listening, both men and females, touch upon some of the foods you're talking about when you say carbs, because in America, when you say carbs, people think it means pizza, bread, cookies, cake, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's not what
the
they
junk
eat.
food.
Yeah, and in the blue zones, they eat
It's not
healthy
right.
carbs. Yeah. So
Exactly.
touch on a couple of those points about the blue zone, what your thoughts are on that, and how like 60 to 80% of their diet in blue zones, macros, are actually carbs. And they actually have very, very little protein in their diet. Maybe some fish, maybe,
Yeah.
a little bit of, little something, little protein, but not a lot. So touch on that, and then touch on your
And
carbs.
what carbs work for you? What are your carb choices? Because that might be useful too.
So my carb choices are rice, um, sweet potatoes, sometimes potatoes, but believe it or not, from this last log that I've been doing, because I am really short on time most of the time from the meal preps and everything. I have been repeating the exact same meal, like every day. Every day I'm eating the exact same meal. So my morning carbs, they are about 60 grams of oats that I blend in. And I always combine my oats with some kind of protein because I don't want to have sudden insulin spike. Yes, I'm on red high, but still, I do not want sudden insulin spike. And when you combine carbs with protein, they tend to have like a bit more stable insulin spike happening. So I combined 60 grams of oats with some kind of fruits, which is like about 50 grams of blueberries or 80 grams of blueberries with again equal amount of any seasonal fruit like mango or banana, my whey protein, my collagen. I'm very consistent with my collagen and vitamin C because I have had such a huge amount of weight fluctuation and being on steroids in the past, that makes me more prone for like collagen loss because that's one of the side effect of collagen. Side effect of steroids is it will lead to your collagen loss. It will lead to in women especially, combined with all the hormones. Lots of females complain about cellulite, and I want to talk about cellulite. My cellulite is completely gone. Probably you cannot see it in the camera, but I was really conscious about cellulite. My cellulite is completely gone, even in person when you're looking at it. I have combined retatrutide and I was also taking GHKCU along with zinc. Zinc is extremely crucial when you're taking any copper-related peptides because zinc and copper, they compete with each other. So coming back to, sorry, diet. Oats are my first thing that I have in the morning. Afternoon, I will have about 120 to 150 grams of white rice. If you want to have brown rice, that's fine. But because I'm combining my white rice with, again, some source of protein, which is usually either salmon or mince, which is like lean mince kind of thing, some kind of veggies, like could be even cooked tomatoes, because cooked tomatoes have more lycopene, which is again really great for your skin and everything as compared to raw tomatoes. It's very easy on our digestion as well. And then I also have protein water as well. Instead of having carbonated drinks, I have my protein water to hit my protein goals. For my snacks, I will have a banana or some other seasonal fruit, but banana is the easiest thing that I can grab, along with my protein shake. For my dinner again, I will either have quinoa or rice again, or potatoes. I barely put any oil in my potatoes. I just slice them, tiny bit of salt, half a teaspoon or 1 teaspoon of clarified butter, because again, it's good kind of fat. I do not like to use vegetable oil because it can trigger inflammation. So I will only use either clarified butter or extra virgin olive oil, and I'll just air fry it, and I'll have it with my source of protein. Dinner, if I haven't hit my this is my dinner, but if I haven't hit my protein goals, probably I will just have my protein shake. So those are 3 or 4, or sweet potatoes as well. Sometimes I will have that. So those are my go-to protein and carbs. So for protein, I'll have salmon, chicken. I'm not that massive fan of chicken because your beef, it has natural glutamine in it, and glutamine really helps with your muscle recovery. And also as women, doesn't matter how much iron we have, I don't think we can have enough iron, because if we have enough, we lose it. So beef is really great source of, and it keeps you fuller for longer, especially if you're having for dinner. So I'm a massive fan of beef in any form. It could be mince, it could be steak, it could be anything. Omega-3 fatty acid, again, I take it from salmon. So I eat whole food, and
Yeah.
I combine it with clean source of carbs, I'd say.
Let me ask you a couple of questions as we're approaching the end of the show. One is going to relate to your experience on Evolutionary. So what's that been like? Have you got any favorite logs? What's the support you've had been like? And have you learned stuff by coming on onto Evolutionary?
Um, the biggest support, I'll say, is the way you guys motivate. It just keeps me going for more and more perfection and striving for. Some days I'm thinking, that's okay, but I'm like, it feels so accountable. Like I need to
Mm,
be like tracking myself. Suppose if I was doing it on my own, I wouldn't be even tracking that how many carbs, how many things I'm like,
Yeah.
how many I wouldn't weight my food. And that's what I was doing initially before I started the whole thing. I would just, this looks right. But little like 1 tablespoon of extra oats could turn your 40 grams of oats into 60 grams of oats. And that's a massive difference when you're actually trying to have calories counted and everything. So just started measuring my food. So in case if someone asks me and if my every ever macros changes, I can actually track it down. So it keeps me really accountable. And you guys, when you see me and the progress I'm making, sometimes I miss the things that I am having improvements on, but you guys pointed out, I'm like, oh yeah, he's right. Like I'm actually looking better. So
Yes.
like you guys are the biggest, I say, my motivation builds up. You are the biggest supporter, and
Mm.
the biggest support is like, your friends and family. And it's very rare to see people of, suppose I'm going to work, they don't understand macros and how nutrition, how important these things are. But
Yeah.
everyone in our community is so passionate that like I can correlate with you guys. I gel. We never met each other. We're in different parts of the world, but it
Yeah.
just feels like such an amazing connection.
We're sharing the same journey. With the things that are important to you are important to us, and I think having, as you said, the accountability. There will be days, Steve, as I'm sure we've all had, where we could be lazy if we didn't think people were watching, or I can have that bit of pie that people won't know about because it's just us. But then we've got to go back and pictures of our food and pictures of our training and our log, and you know that someone's going to come and read and give you a thumbs up. I think the thing that you said, Iron Rose, is that we don't always see progress in ourselves because we see ourselves all the time. But someone can come in like myself to do show notes for the day and literally see a difference from the top of the page and the first page post to the last post on literally page one of your log, and see progress in a week. And you might be just thinking, is that progress? Did something really change? And you don't look at the picture the same as someone else. So yeah, all of these things help.
Yes, I
Is there
know.
any? Sorry, go on. Yeah,
I
go
remember
on.
that
Yeah.
I posted my second or third photo and my upper abs, they started to come through. And someone
Mm,
commented that you're getting your upper abs. I'm like, are they abs? I did not believe that actually they're abs because I always like, like I always wanted to have some abs, but I
mm.
thought it's not possible for me to get abs because I was always like skinny fat, that I will say. So I wasn't fat, but I had no muscles. And when you think abs, like, are they really abs? But he pointed it out. And as the time is progressing, I'm seeing my abs are actually getting tighter and tighter. I'm like, yeah, he was right, actually.
Do you remember who that
I
was?
think probably Lev, because he's very good at seeing stuff in the logs. I will
I,
say,
I,
just again, sorry, just for the benefit of the show, and specifically yourself, Iron Rose, you've had an experience that not many men or women will have had in terms of the medical treatment and the medications you've been on. It's still kind of rare, and being able to put that information out there for other people to benefit from, listening to how you've learned what you've learned, listening to how you've literally studied and understood, began to understand, and will continue to learn to understand your own body. Also, the medical training has helped a little bit as well, of course, being able to ask the right questions of the doctors and all these things. Your log, even if it's helping you to be accountable and for you to get your abs and for you to get in shape, will also benefit other people. There may be half a dozen people of the hundreds of thousands of people that we've had on our forums over the years that will come in and read, search for, and find that your log's actually going to help them. So think of it in that way as well. You're getting something from it, but people would
Yeah.
get something from it by reading what you're posting. Steve.
So I have a couple questions as we finish up Iron Rose. And look, at the end of the day, you sound a lot like me when it comes to nutrition. You're like this, no good, this good, this, and it's like it drives people crazy. I don't know if you live with people. I don't know if you have a
Yeah.
spouse. Can you give
Mm.
some tips out there for people who live with other people and who share a refrigerator or a pantry with people on how you can kind of navigate that at home? And like, is it a situation where you have to date someone or marry someone who follows your lifestyle, or do you think it's possible to have someone who goes and eats fast food and junk food, and you can kind of just like learn to just live that way? What's your thoughts on that?
Um, I fortunately don't have to deal with like managing my life around how others because I live on my own.
Mm.
So that's a big advantage to me. In saying so, there's a fine line. I remember this, like it's funny, and I think it's gonna be a funny story for our EVO brothers if they're ever dating. I remember I was just started to date this guy, and he was like fitness. He was into fitness, and I was like, yeah, great. And we were training a lot and heaps, but he was so condescending to me in the gym, saying, "You're so weak. You can't even lift that. I can do 20 reps of that, and you can't even lift." And
Wow.
and I was like so put off by that. I was like, I am like 3 times smaller than you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm a woman. I was so put off by that. I was like, you know what? I don't want someone that is so fitness freak. And I thought I'm pretty like
Yeah.
eat
Was
this,
he
not
was he
eat that.
joking with you, or is he actually serious?
No, no,
Did
he
he
was
think did he
serious.
think he was he might have thought he was motivating you, but it doesn't sound like it, does it, Steve? It's off
Nah, I
putting.
did not
Yeah.
go back to him, and I did not go back to that gym either.
Mm. It's like it's weird. It's if I was a million years younger than I am, just to finish a show, I would absolutely. I was terrible as a late teen, Steve, being kind of, oh, people should train this way, people should lift this much weight. I'm that much fucking further down the road and I'm lifting ridiculous weights. It's fucking obvious that not everybody wants to do what I
Yeah.
want to do or be as strong as me. So you've got to be, I say this now, Iron Rose, just to finish the show, we're on our own journey. And you
Hmm.
progressing, you and you improving, you is the only fucking thing that matters. Nothing else matters. Doesn't matter what I am doing, doesn't matter what Steve's doing.
Yeah.
It matters what the person themselves are doing. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
coming on the show today. Again, Steve, have you got any final words, Steve, just
Yeah,
before we finish?
any final thoughts, Iron Rose, for women out there listening? Because I'm going to shoot this podcast out to a lot of women that I know. Any advice to them when it comes to their fitness journey and things that they can kind of follow, whether it be diet, training, anything that can really turbocharge their results?
I would again come down to because don't listen, don't listen to all our gym bros who are saying calories in, calories out, cut this, cut that. Listen to your body,
Yep,
listen to your hormones, your periods, go with the flow rather than
yep,
fighting it. Use your own body for fat
yes,
loss in the fat loss phase and muscle building phase. Build the muscle. Don't think you're lazy if you're not hitting the gym 6 times a week. We're not Arnold Schwarzenegger who can train 2 times a week and will still go back onto recovery. We everyone is different. Listen to your body.
yep,
Always, of course, track your macros. You have to be still in calorie deficit, at least by 200 calories. Don't do severe calorie deficit and don't cut out carbs. Manage your cortisol, have a good sleep, stress
mm,
less, and you'll be fine.
great. Thank you very much again. That's hopefully some wise words for people listening to this show, understanding of your body and how your body's working and taking advantage of that understanding may well be the takeaway message for today's show. Please note, we are
Thank you.
not doctors. That's no problem. My pleasure. Please note, we are not doctors and the opinions are ours. You're making me laugh now. And it's our view and based on our experience and views on the topic. Our podcast are for informational purposes and entertainment only. The freedom of speech and the First Amendment applies.